We've seen a common trend within the Star Wars franchise ever since Lucasfilm was taken over by Disney, with a lot of creatives either being fired by Kathleen Kennedy, having creative differences with Kennedy, or just leaving projects for no apparent reason. We've seen great examples of this throughout the years. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the one thing that makes me excited for the future of Star Wars, I will be honest with you guys, is the fact that Kennedy no longer has creative control over the existing Star Wars projects in the early development phase. We're talking about movies, TV shows, animated TV series, you name it. That Kennedy will no longer be able to interrupt with those actual projects. And the fact that Kennedy was not really involved with The Mandalorian, I think speaks volumes and just tells us exactly what Disney can really do if Kathleen Kennedy does not interrupt with the creative choices of these projects. So, I don't know if you guys knew, but it was all Kennedy's idea for Rian Johnson to develop a Star Wars trilogy, which, by the way, Rian Johnson has been questioned about this, time and time again, up until even recently, like last month, where he was questioned about it, where he himself even said, we'll see what happens, Disney and Lucasfilm are still trying to figure out what's going on, and he'll let us know in the future. And it really seems like that the Rian Johnson Trilogy is falling apart. Now, with the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, what's really intriguing about Chapek is that he's picking up a lot of ideas by Bob Iger, but that he wants to do specific strategies on his own. Now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with the Skywalker saga, they are focused on the new Star Wars trilogy of films, as well as their new Star Wars universe, where it's said that Disney is trying to come up with a major plan in order to satisfy the fans around the world and to create a better future for the Star Wars brand and as a franchise. Now, the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, however, is explained to understand the backlash that happened with The Last Jedi by creator Rian Johnson, and that Chapek has a plan in place to bring a complete end to the Rian Johnson trilogy and to create those into different Star Wars movies for different slots throughout this decade. Now, it's noted that this is why Rian Johnson has not been able to answer if his trilogy is still happening or not over at Lucasfilm, and that they are still trying to figure things out. It's noted that Chapek has a plan in place in order to bring an end to the Rian Johnson trilogy that was planned out by Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, and at the very minimum, Rian Johnson may only have the opportunity to direct one Star Wars film, and that even that is said to be up in the air as of right now as well. Now, it's noted that Bob Chapek wants to do away with many of Kathleen Kennedy's ideas for Star Wars to guarantee that the future of Star Wars will be very bright for the fans and successful for Disney moving throughout the years. Now, it's noted that they are currently still focused on developing the other new trilogy of films that don't involve Rian Johnson to begin with, and that everything is now beginning to move smoothly for these new Star Wars projects to be released in the near future. Bob Chapek is actually said to also be involving Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to have creative control over the new canon material. So, about the Rian Johnson trilogy and how Bob Chapek wants to really kind of bring an end to all of this. And it makes sense because the Rian Johnson trilogy is a thing of Kathleen Kennedy's doing. It really is. Kathleen Kennedy is the one who wanted Rian to develop a trilogy, which to me, really just mind-boggled me. Like, how could one determine if a director or writer is going to get a trilogy before The Last Jedi even released? I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in November of 2017, Rian Johnson was given a trilogy right off the bat just because Kathleen Kennedy thought the film was going to do excellent at the box office. Even though it did make money, it really could have made a lot more if people loved the film and saw more repeat viewings. I myself only saw The Last Jedi twice. If I loved that movie, I would have certainly seen it 5, 6, maybe even 7 times, if I really wanted to go that high. Because at the end of the day, Star Wars has replay value. If you look at the originals, you can always watch those movies. There's something about those movies that just suck you in. Same thing with the prequel trilogy films. They're just very entertaining. So, when we look at the fact that Rian Johnson's trilogy, Bob Chapek has a plan in place to bring an end to Rian Johnson, essentially, to split that trilogy, to split those 3 movies into 3 different slots throughout this decade for 3 individual Star Wars films. Very interesting, because Bob Iger said not too long ago, I would say about 5 months ago, that there are 6 Star Wars films in the works. That, of course, is one trilogy and the Rian Johnson Trilogy. Now that the Rian Johnson Trilogy is going to be split up into 3 individual movies, apparently, that's the plan at least, that Bob Chapek wants to do, and that at the very most, Rian Johnson would only be able to develop one Star Wars film, basically having only one movie, and even that is said to be up in the air, like I say. So very interesting, guys. Let me know what you think about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.